Okay, so as promised, we now have page 3 of the Ashland University College of Education standard lesson plan. So we're going to just fill out the assessment part here. We're going to leave research to your, once you get out in your fields. So in the assessment category, um, so our formative assessment is kind of our benchmarks of how we're teaching. We've already discussed this in and out already. So you describe how you will informally. I'm not necessarily in love with the idea of informally because it can be a formal assessment that's formative still. Assess your students throughout the lesson, questioning whole class response. Keep in mind that you may need to adjust your plans based on student feedback you receive. Well, I've already discussed that with you at length. So we can, in terms of technology, we could use, like a response system. That gives us an idea of how well they're doing in an anonymous way. Something like we've perhaps looked at in 232, where poll everywhere is one of those online polling utilities that would allow us to do that. But there are other interfaces, the old version of the clicker interfaces, and there's new and upcoming ones as well that look like they're more graphically interfaced and kind of trivia based. So you're going to describe what you're going to do there in terms of formative assessment, and then of course the summative assessment. Be very specific about the formal assessment that you'll use at the end of the lesson to measure whether you've met your lesson's goals. Attach the actual assessment if appropriate. This assessment may need to be modified for the individual students. The information gained from your assessment should be used to provide feedback to your students and to guide for your future lessons. Now, we've already talked about universal design at this point, so you also have to think about how to make these materials more accessible. It's not just your instruction, but it's also your assessment tools. So that is the task that you're supposed to do when you fill this out. You can include in the Dropbox your summative assessments or formative assessments if you actually have a version of them that's a digital file. Of course, sometimes our summative assessment can be identical to our pre-assessment. I mean, our pre-assessments and our post-assessments can be identical in nature depending on what we're actually teaching. And if we find, for instance, in our pre-assessment that the students know absolutely nothing about the content across the board, then we wouldn't really need to tweak it for the post-assessment. We just need to teach everything that's in the pre-assessment. The summative assessment then would be identical, and you would actually have hopefully a better outcome than what you had on your pre-assessment, because otherwise you're in deep, deep trouble.